In this episode of our Best of season, we are revisiting some of my favorite funky farms. I'm Cat Neville, and this is Feast TV. In this episode of our Best of season, we're going to go back to some of the really funky farms that I've enjoyed visiting over the past few years. It's no secret that my favorite shoots are on farms, and the ones that you're going to see today are really unique. And during the episode, I am going to be making shrimp empanadas. One of the visits is going to be to the Casey Shrimp Company. So we're gonna see kind of an interesting way to work with shrimp. We're gonna be making the dough and the filling, and I'm gonna show you how to pull it all together. It's really, really easy, and they're baked, not fried, so they're a little bit healthier as well. So before I get started, let's head over to an elk farm near St. Genevieve, Missouri. This was a really interesting visit. Just wait until you meet these animals.
You spend your days out here. If it's blizzard or you're got the flu, you got to go take care of your animals. It doesn't matter. That's a responsibility you take.
Kevin.
Hi.
I'm Cat Neville from Feast TV.
Well, good to meet you. I'm Kevin Hinkabine.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you for doing this today.
Sure, no problem. I'm very happy you come out. And I was getting ready to go feed the elk, so if you'd like to go look at them.
That would be amazing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jump in this Ranger.
Okay, let's go.
I started out in 1990 with a pair of elk, and they were 6-month-old calves, and I've grown the herd from that. I bought a few elk. Most of them are natural additions, and I always try to buy new bulls. Any livestock producer wants to upgrade their herd, whether it's for physical features of size or maybe antler growth or the nature of them. That's always good. Some are just like people. Some are mean and ornery and you don't want them around, and other ones are very easy to get along with.
We're standing out here in the middle of the field with them, and they don't seem to be nervous. They just seem really gentle and just kind of, I don't know, like they would even let us pet their noses.
These elk have been around a lot of people. I mean, like I said, even years ago when the kids were little and they had friends, and we was always coming over to feed them, and I'm around them quite a bit, so they tame down. They're not really that wild, I guess, at heart, if they don't need to be.
That's for before.
It is. Come on, girl.
I would like for you to kind of talk to me about where you see the future of this industry going, and what kind of growth that is possible in the industry.
There is a lot of potential for growth in the elk industry. Demand is here. I've experimented with most every product. You know, there's plenty of demand for all of it. I get calls almost on a daily basis. All the products that are derived from elk are quality. Meat's quality. It's a very healthy meat. They call it the Heart Smart meat because it's very high in protein, low in fat, cholesterol, high in vitamins and iron. Hard antler, when they shed naturally, they're excellent for dog chews. They will last for maybe a month or more, and seems like the dogs have made the opinion poll that they're very good. Velvet antler is basically the antler as it grows. To get prime velvet, you want to cut it about 50 to 60 days from March. Those things aren't going to go away. I'd like to see more young people maybe think about raising elk. It's a good animal. They adapt well to being raised as livestock, and I think they're here to stay.
I have never met a more friendly animal that essentially is livestock. It was a really, really neat adventure to be able to meet those animals up close. They're humongous. But anyway, I'm gonna get started on this dough. It's very easy to make the dough at home. This is just 3 cups of all-purpose flour. I have a teaspoon of baking powder, not baking soda, teaspoon and a half of salt. I'm gonna whisk that together. Get it all combined. I have a stick and a half of cold butter that I'm cutting into cubes. And the reason why you want it to be cold is you don't want it to melt while you're working this into the flour with your hands. All right, here's my egg. Just wanna whisk that up and then work it into my dough. And a little bit of cold water. Again, you do want it to be cold, and you can always add more water. You can't take it away. So start out with just a little bit and then go from there. I also have a little bit of extra flour off to the side because we're about to turn this out onto the countertop and give it a knead. This is starting to get really smooth. It's not sticky and it feels substantial, you know? It's all holding together really nicely. I'm going to just form this into a disc. I'm gonna wrap it in some plastic wrap so that it doesn't dry out while it's resting. And while I do that, why don't you take a trip with me to Troutdale Ranch? This is where they are growing some of the most pristine, beautiful trout you've ever seen here in Missouri. It is a gorgeous spring day, and we are at Troutdale Farm, which is a purveyor of some of the most amazing trout, and I cannot wait to get the tour from Dennis.
So one of the best ways to tour a trout farm is start at the source of the water.
So does the spring have a name?
Yes, it has multiple names. It's called the Collins Spring. Another name is the Big Spring at Gravois Mills. We just call it Troutdale.
Gorgeous.
A big portion of the water comes up out of that triangle.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, you can see it kind of bubbling up.
Yes. The water temperature is 56 degrees plus or minus about a half a degree year round.
And so trout need cold water. They
Right.
need very fresh water.
And they need clean water and a very high oxygen content relative for fish. And so any opportunity that we can get water to splash around, make a waterfall, we try to do that because that oxygenates the water.
So how many trout are in these ponds right now?
We're probably in excess of 100,000 fish.
Seriously?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Can we go take a look at them?
Oh, absolutely.
So how do you harvest them? Do you just take a net and grab them?
Now what we do is we call it corralling the fish. We use these dividing gates and push the fish up so that they're somewhat crowded. And then we have sorting boxes, and it has a ruler in there, and we actually measure each fish individually. If
Wow.
it's too small, they go over on that side. If they're the right size, then they're collected. And I'll show you how we catch fish.
I would love to see it. Okay, so you just dunk down. This is harder than it looks because they don't really want to be caught, do they?
No. Oh, you caught some.
He's beautiful. That is a beautiful fish. So how old are they when they're harvested?
At least 14 months. Probably most of them are closer to a year and a half. Some of the ones that are easy to see are called golden rainbow trout, and it's a color variation of the rainbow trout.
And they are bright yellow.
Yes, and they reproduce true to color.
Wow.
Yes.
Kind of. So now I'm standing here with Merritt, and this is where all of the trout, once they're harvested, are processed. It's a light, bright, really beautiful room, and it's a little bit cool in here. And contrary to what people might think, there is absolutely no kind of a fishy smell. It's a very kind of a fresh aroma, almost like kind of being outside next to the spring itself. So the fish are weighed outside.
Yes, the fish are weighed outside. That's an approximate weight so that we know what we're harvesting. We count the fish. We know how many we bring in, approximately 100 at a time.
Wow.
And it takes us just over an hour. This is a special cut fish. We have the head, the tail, and most of the fins, and it has been pin boned. This goes to a customer who wanted this particular fish to look like this.
So, I mean, you're sending these to some of the best restaurants in Missouri.
Well, we like to think so. We have to give all the kudos to the chefs because they have the job of creating something unique.
So what is your favorite part?
I've always enjoyed the filleting. I'm a hands-on person. I've trained everybody who has been filleted, and they've always turned out to be better than I am, which just absolutely drives me nuts. We're not fast, you know, we don't grow fish quick. You know, we don't push the system a lot, and so it takes us a while, and there are lots of issues to be dealt with in terms of Mother Nature, and we just take those one day at a time.
Oh, and it works.
And deal with whatever comes.
Yeah, I mean, the resulting product is amazing. So Troutdale is a very fun place to visit, and it's gorgeous. That's one of the wonderful things about Missouri is we have all of these fresh, cold springs. So it's really neat to be able to find these little hidden gems in our state. Okay, I'm gonna start my empanada filling with a little bit of just chopped red onion. Now I have a jalapeno. I'm just gonna quarter some cherry tomatoes. I'm gonna smash some garlic cloves here, chop them up. Chopping up 2 cups of fresh, deveined shrimp. So while I finish chopping up these gorgeous shrimp, let's head to KC Shrimp Company. It's just outside of Kansas City. Check it out.
I live outside Oak Grove, Missouri. I have a 50 by 60 outbuilding, and inside this building I grow saltwater shrimp, and it's kind of very rare in the state. All this started when I was helping my daughter with a science experiment. We were growing brine shrimp, or sea monkeys as they're commonly known, and it got me to thinking, wow, this is kind of cool and neat. And I wonder if I could grow, or if it's even possible to grow, real shrimp. Started researching where people are starting to grow shrimp inside buildings year-round, so there's always shrimp available, and kind of thought, oh, that sounds really neat, and got me inspired, and here we are. I mean, how many people can say they're a shrimp farmer in Missouri?
So now we're inside of the kind of shrimp farming operation. These are like your pets.
We do tours, and because our tank water is brackish and you can't see the shrimp, we have this set up so just people can come and see the shrimp, and of course they've grown to a pretty healthy size.
Yeah, they're big. I mean, really, when you grab a shrimp off of a shrimp cocktail, you don't think about the shape and the size of their bodies, but when you look, they're just really interesting creatures. And you can see in here that they've molted. The exoskeleton is in the tank, and Mitch was telling me that the reason why they leave it in there is because it's a good source of calcium for the shrimp. Who knew? All right, let's see if they take the bait.
Oh yeah, he's got it.
Oh, look at that.
See him picking it up with these pinchers?
Yes. Oh, you can see the inside of his organs. You can see like his little stomach working.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I could stand here and watch this shrimp for hours, but instead we're gonna move on. These are the babies.
These are the babies. I got these when they were roughly 10 days old. And I got 20,000 of them. They came in a cooler from Florida.
Did you say 20,000?
20,000 is what I stocked this tank with.
So how big are the shrimp in here?
They're smaller than an eyelash. Oh, there's one. Right at the tip of my thumb.
Oh, I can see him jumping. Oh. So this is the 3-month-old tank, right?
These are 3 months old.
And what I love is that these are all pools.
Yeah, these swimming pools that have been modified.
Yeah, I mean, this one's camo.
Yeah.
It's just so fun. I love it. Oh, they are jumpy. Wow, look at that. Oh my gosh. Can I touch him?
Yeah. Grab one.
Oh! Hey, little guy. You're gonna get really big.
They shed their shell. This is the tail part. This was the head. You can see where the antenna was.
And that's how they grow. Each
Yeah.
time they get to a different stage
Right,
in their
when
life
they
cycle, they have to
outgrow it.
shed. There's a lot to keep track of with these little shrimp. You walk in, you're like, oh, it's just shrimp that are being moved from tank to tank. But I mean, you're constantly, every day, checking the pH, checking the oxygen. I mean, it's really a constant, just making
Right.
sure that their environment is what they need in order to thrive and survive.
Correct. Yep. Right now we're just sorting through the size. We're going to pull out 5 pounds here today. That's kind of what was ordered. 100 to 120 shrimp.
My first time harvesting shrimp. I got a whole 3 of them. Maybe I should try for a better scoop next time. That guy's big.
Oh, that's a nice one, yeah.
You need some extra help? Maybe on the weekends I can zip over here
There you
and
go.
become a shrimp wrangler. Hi. Did he just make a noise? Do they make noises?
No.
That was in my mind. So the phenomenon of this type of aquaculture is exploding across the country. I mean, shrimp is the most consumed seafood in the US, and most of it is imported from Asia, where it is grown without a lot of environmental oversight. And so being able to have control over that shrimp production and knowing that it's clean, that is invaluable. So yay, Casey Shrimp Company. All right, I am getting started on our empanada filling. I just have a little bit of oil. I'm just gonna saute my onions until they get to be translucent. And don't feel like you have to furiously write down all of the measurements, because you can find all the recipes at feastmagazine.com. They're in the Feast TV section on the website. All right, that's looking good. I'm gonna add in my garlic and my jalapeno pepper. Then I'm gonna go ahead and season this with a little bit of salt and pepper. Here go my juicy tomatoes. So I'm gonna add in about 1/2 to 1/4 cup of pinto beans. I'm smashing these beans just a little bit because I want to kind of mimic the creamy texture of refried beans for that filling. Yum. Now I add in my shrimp. And obviously the shrimp are gonna cook very quickly, so you wanna put them in at the very end. These will only cook in just a couple of minutes. The very last thing I wanna do is add in just a little hit of acid, and I'll also be stirring in some fresh chopped cilantro. So while I finish this up, Our last segment before we also finish up these delicious empanadas is at College of the Ozarks. This is down near the Lake of the Ozarks in southern Missouri, and the students at this university, they don't pay any tuition. They work in order to pay for their schooling, and they have a fully functioning farm at the school. Check it out. So give me a snapshot of how all of this works at the university. It's such a unique program, the fact that the students don't pay any tuition and that they work in all aspects of the school essentially to fund their education.
During the school year, they worked 15 hours a week for their education. And then also during the summer, those of them who qualify work 40 hours a week to pay for their room and board and their meal program.
All the students here at the college work 15 hours a week. And the dairy is one of the workstations. Here in the ag department, we've got the dairy, a feed mill, a beef operation, a hog farm. We also have a processing plant where we can process beef cattle or process hogs. And that's where the majority of, actually all of the pork that the Keeter Center uses comes from here and is processed on our processing plant.
It's the stone ground grits that come from our mill, made in a polenta style, with the pork sitting on top of that, topped with the tomatoes, and then we have a little bit of wilted arugula on top.
You supply the Keeter Center. You also have an actual open to the public market, is that right?
Yes. This year it opens May 29th and it goes through October 30th. It's every Friday. We actually start getting ready at 5 in the morning. It opens at 7 in the morning and then it goes until 12:30.
Everything that we sell, gets reinvested, just like you said, back into the college. So we start out with an operating budget, but everything we sell just gets rolled back into the college.
And so the cream from this is from the dairy, the smoked hog jowl is from the pork operation, you're making the pasta, and so are you grinding the flour for the pasta here at the mill?
Yes.
That's amazing. What is the most rewarding part of being, integrated into this type of a program?
Well, just seeing the students from when they get here. We have a lot of students that have ag backgrounds, but we have a bunch that don't. And that we're a liberal arts institution, and so typically at a liberal arts institution you don't necessarily see an ag program, and it's kind of at the heart of what we do here.
At its heart, this is an academic institution, so all of these work programs kind of add to the experience of the students. What does that mean for them?
That means that they can go into Mark Hubbard's horticulture classes, or they can go into Tammy Holder's soil science classes, and they can come out here and apply what they've learned. What I like is that they get to really get a big picture of what this all looks like.
And it funds their education. And that's what I think is so brilliant, is that they're graduating without student debt.
Yes.
And they're learning and contributing to the economic health of the school at the same time.
The aha moment for me was when we had an ag student say, I grew up on a farm, and you plant it, you nurture it, you water it, you give it sunlight, you let it grow, you grow it to the best that you can, you sell it, end of story. Now they're seeing what happens to it after it's sold and then goes to the table and a guest pays the real money for it, and the satisfaction that the guest sees out of it. So they're seeing the full cycle that way, and our culinary students are seeing it the full cycle the other way.
We have students that come here, and every student has to work 15 hours a week, and we have plenty of jobs that they can choose from, but some students, they decide, we have a college dairy, why don't I see what it's like working on a dairy? And they come here and just to show them the farm experience, and also educate on how to produce food in a safe, economic, and sustainable way.
Seeing the College of the Ozarks as a model for how students can have a debt-free college experience, I think should be inspiration for a lot of the folks who are watching. All right, we're wrapping everything up. I have my filling. It's cooled down a bit. I have my dough right here, my little disc. It's been resting. I'm forming this into a log. I'm going to be cutting this into discs essentially, and then rolling that out to form my empanada crust. mound some filling here. You do not want to overfill this because it will explode in the oven. I'm going to make a little bit of an egg wash, and this is what is going to help seal all of the edges. It's just one egg and a little bit of water. Just go like all right around the edges. So we're going to fold this over, as you can see, into a half moon. Kind of stick everything down, and then just crimp the edges. And I'm going to poke holes in the top, put some egg wash in, shove it in the oven, and that's it. So here are my empanadas piping hot out of the oven. I'm gonna let them rest while I make a crema. This is a little bit of yogurt. You could also use sour cream or creme fraiche. I'm just going to add in a bit of salt and some lime juice. Now there is no real substitute for true crema. It's delicious stuff. But if you can't get your hands on it, this is what you can do in a pinch. All of the flavors from that sauteed shrimp have melded together really, really beautifully. And the tart creaminess of this crema just pulls all of those flavors out. And this dough, you saw how easy it was. It is perfectly crisp. Yum, this is delicious. Thank you for joining me on our Funky Farms episode in this best of season. I will see you next time.